Alright, hello everyone, welcome back to Cribs Warehouse, welcome back to the stream. Today's a bit of a different one, okay? It's not just the chart stream today, because we have a split, we have a 50-50 split. You might see by the sidebar on the right hand side, we have, we're going to talk about World of Finance. We'll look at it, its products, what you can do with it so far, and we've also looked at, I just hit my mic, apologies, yeah, scratch my arm. We're going to look at, the products it has, kind of where it stands right now, and its chart. I've already obviously gone over that. You can see that on the right hand side as well. We have articles and charts. And then at the 30-minute mark, hopefully, if I can keep to a good pace, which we know my track record is not the best at. We can hopefully just go onto Bitcoin and look at Bitcoin. So we're going to do a split today, looking in between World Liberty Finance and Bitcoin, basically. So without further ado, okay, I'm just going to start the timer and we can get it going. I'm on Binance Square News today, so obviously hello to everybody on the chats. I will obviously periodically be going through the chats to see if anyone's speaking and whatnot, but nonetheless, I'm just going to get going. So firstly, want to go over the main page of World Liberty Finance. We're going to go through basically the products they have so far and kind of the system at the current rate. Mike's probably gone over this. We've obviously done some streams before on World Liberty Finance. The kind of new point I want to mention as well is my point of view on the charts for World Liberty Finance as well, and obviously some new news which has come out, which we'll look at on X in a minute. But just quickly go have a breakdown of the main page. Just quickly scroll through it, have a look at some of the products on a very base level, and then we can obviously go through the charts and whatnot. So base page here, we have the first page you see. If you go to World Liberty Finance, look up WLFI. First page you see on Google, this is what you're seeing. World Liberty Finance Market is here. This is the front page of World Liberty Financial. This is all they have to show you. Obviously, we can scroll down and see their products there, which we'll go through in a minute. They have their partnerships here as well. So they kind of have main points. They've got their governance kind of system. There's a new thing I don't think it's out yet. I think it's being worked on, which is their, I think it's called World Swap. It's their foreign exchange market service, if you will. They've obviously got the World Liberty Finance token. They've obviously got USD1, which we'll be looking at with the World Liberty Finance chart as well. And obviously they have a governance system for kind of the project as well. So we'll go through each of these kind of in segments. So again, you can see as you scroll down, we'll see all their products, well, not all their products because they've got more here, but technically as a product, they have USD1, technically their own token, World Liberty Finance Market as well. Not going to go too much through this. It's kind of just a swap position from World Liberty Finance themselves, so it's not too much of a excitement there. And obviously they've got World Liberty Finance app, which again can't really talk about because it's coming soon, isn't it? Other than that though, again I've only got 30 minutes. I do want to move on swiftly to my lineup of articles. So quickly wanted to show World Liberty Financial on CoinMarketCap just to see the data. All right, I don't know why it's so zoomed in because I have it zoomed out on my end. I guess I need to zoom out more then. You can't even see that. Hold on. Let's do this. You can kind of see that. I don't know why it's so cropped off, but whatever. I can even barely read this anyway. So nonetheless, we're about 11 cent right now for World Liberty Finance. Like I said, we will be going through the charts at nearer the 30-minute mark, maybe, as we're 20 minutes in, whatever it may be. But I want to go over some of the data. So again, the market cap's good. My thing, just upon seeing the data here, and again, there's probably some nuances within World Liberty Finance. I prefer saying World Liberty Finance. I know it's World Liberty Financial, but I'm going to say World Liberty Finance. So just as you guys know, as I've just declared then, when I say World Liberty Finance, it means World Liberty Financial, okay? I just think it flows better, World Liberty Finance. I don't know why it's World Liberty Financial. Obviously, there's probably some reasons for it. But anyway, circulating supply is of a total supply of 100 billion World Liberty Finance tokens. It's 26.74 billion. Obviously, they probably know they've got their own system for that. But, just a base thing to point out, as if you're going to be investing in a token, just making sure that as a consumer side anyway, that the circulating supply and the total supply as close as possible would be preferable, obviously, as a consumer. Because again, there's I would 100% guarantee these people are not stupid enough to do anything idiotic with their tokenomic system, especially with how they introduce new tokens into the pool of tokens. Obviously, considering there is a considerable less amount of tokens currently in supply rather than in total supply. So, just bearing that in mind. But nonetheless, moving swiftly on, like I said, to World Liberty Financial governance. So again, like I said, technically not a product. That's why we didn't see it on the main page. But they have a governance system very similar to pretty much every other governance system you've ever seen in your life within crypto. Again, proposal of a thing to do, review to make sure it's not a waste of time, and then obviously a vote system from the community. This is just simple governance systems, but it's nice to see that they've got kind of a connection between people in the high ups and a governance system obviously I know it's the protocols governance system, but it's nice to have a slight few steps of communication with the big men themselves. But anyway, as we could obviously suspect, the governance is utilizing their World Liberty Finance token, which is again every other governance. I don't really think there's that much to have difference with a governance system. They're pretty much all the same thing. FAQ here. We're not going to go into it. Again, it's a governance system. How much more can we really talk about governance system and it be, any different than anything else? So, jumping on over to stablecoins, quickly just showing the current stablecoin market. Hopefully, it's not too zoomed in on. Okay, it's not. It should be good. Just kind of showing what stablecoins there are in circulation. We can see pretty high up there on the list is World Liberty Financial USD1, that is, which is the pair we'll be looking at with World Liberty Finance token as well. But they have obviously their one of their main things is their stablecoin alongside their main token. Again, not looking for price fluctuations here on CoinMarketCap or anything. It's a stablecoin. Not again too much data to talk about apart from probably volume and circulating supply. Again, 5.36 billion USD1 out in circulation and about 1.77 billion volume, which is very good. Again, there are the big dogs. But within the top 5, it's obviously it's pretty good. Again, in terms of volume and usage, obviously 24-hour volume. It's the intended usage of a stable coin. We can see it kind of goes, USDT, USDC, and then it goes to USD1, which is pretty nice for volume there. So not sure what exactly amalgamates to add up to that amounts. Whether it be consumer and back-end transactions. Either way, high usage of USD1, which is very nice to see. And again, this is a World Liberty Financial stable coin from the big men in America themselves. So, you know what I mean? It's not going to be one of the trashier stable coins. You know what I mean? Anyways, going on now to USD1 again to show off, just to show the USD1. Again, it's a stable coin. What am I going to do? How am I going to spend 10 minutes talking about a stable coin? Unless it's something really fancy, which I don't really think we get from this page. It's a stablecoin. There's not much else to say about a stablecoin, but it is a World Liberty Financial stablecoin, which is important. So again, digital dollar stablecoins are accepted on both on-chain and in the real world. Still USD dollar, or US dollar, but for a new era. Again, it's just a stablecoin. One-to-one backed with US dollars. It's a representation of a dollar. In the crypto world, it's just literally just a stable coin. Low cost, which is good. Obviously, multi-chain. This is some places you can get it. Obviously, I know where I would go to get it if I was going to get USD1. I know which platform I'll be using to get stable coins or anything of that sort, which is Binance. I would be going to Binance. There's no affiliation here. Bottom right hand corner of the stream. There's no affiliation. It's just a QR code. But if you want to go over there, you want to get some USD1 yourself. You don't know where to go get it. Ignore everywhere else. Look at these places. You don't want to go to these places. PancakeSwap, that sounds like what a child would do. Just go to Binance. Okay, just go do it on Binance. That's not a plug. Okay, that's not a plug or anything. That was just a momentary lapse of words which came out about Binance. Again, it's just spiel. It's just yap. Okay, it's the stablecoin. Important though, obviously multi-chain, very good. You want access to a stablecoin. If you can have a stablecoin, it's a very unanimous thing. Again, you have normal crypto within their own chain or layer 1 itself. They build functionality mostly functionality is built on top of those, so you don't really mind about multi-chain systems. But again, with stablecoins, they kind of are a powerhouse of default transactions when it comes to conceptualizing crypto. Again, you normally look at pairs from a cryptocurrency to a stablecoin. So again, you want stablecoins to be multi-chain. You want it to be as accessible as possible, as cheap as possible. So again, it looks like they've really obviously focused on that with making their stablecoin multi-chain, low cost. Again, when it says it's 24-hour, again, it's crypto. It's like, why are you putting this as your advertisement point? It's obviously crypto. But again, still, it's 24-hour, always accessible, cheap, and multi-chain. So again, a very good stablecoin. But there's not that much innovation to be had in stablecoins anyway. So again, just to, it's a stablecoin. Pointing out they have it. If I was to get a stablecoin, I'd probably be looking at these guys anyway, because again, the link between the American government and these guys is pretty close. It's pretty close. But swiftly moving on to actually interesting things, because again, this was just some spiel to coat the apple in the caramel before we buy it in. That's a very out of the way representation of what we've done. Just kind of showing off all of fans, realistically. But showing off their tweets now, which is actually important things. This is interesting things. If you already know about World of Fans, all of what I've just spent my time on the last 10 minutes would have been a complete snooze fest, because you've already known, haven't you? You already know. But we have some tweets. So the first one we have here: good morning from World of Finance. Happy weekend. Hold USD1 campaign week 2 is settled at Binance. Obviously, not so many affiliation here, but like I said, literally 2 minutes ago, if I was going to get USD1 anywhere, I'd probably be getting on Binance, not affiliation. If you haven't noticed, check out Binance announcement for details, plus eligibility below. This is obviously going to the Binance tweets here. So this is a, actually it links it down here. We'll just stay on this page actually. This is obviously a campaign. This is to get, World of Finance, in the limelight of people. This is to try get it out there as the main thing to be using as stablecoins. Your USD1 can do more. Just hold USD1 and auto share $40 million in World of Finance tokens over 28 days. Margin and futures users get 1.2x rewards. I mean, it's great. Obviously, you hold USD1. This is great for holding USD1. Everyone's going to get that World of Finance. Everyone's going to sell it. It's not great for the chart, is it? You know what I mean? It's like, I get people. There'll definitely be a large margin of people who are going to be getting some World of Finance from holding USD1, and they will hold World of Finance because they want to be in the project for the long run. But I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know how long this. I don't know when this tweet was. February 7th. Okay. So again, when did this start? Obviously late January. Yeah. So it was literally been 2 weeks. So obviously it's been 2 weeks. I don't know when this is getting. I don't know the system in terms of if it's a perpetual give out of World of Finance. I don't know if it's in one big go. I hope it's not in one big go, because that's going to be very, very bad for the chart. But we'll keep this in mind. We'll keep this in mind when we go to the charts as well, just to bear in mind. Another tweet. I'm losing my voice as we speak. Another thing here as well. 12 million World of Finance is up for grabs. Participate in the USD1 points program for a chance to win from a World of Finance. Double World of Finance token vouchable. So this obviously is the points program. How much World of Finance tokens is actually getting won, but again, $40 million here and there, or nearby anyway. So again, it doesn't mention how the token distribution is managed in terms of if it's a. I'm probably gonna go to the Binance quickly just to make sure. I should open this link up because I haven't actually gone through this link. So there's another 2 weeks to be had of this, going until the 27th. Of February. I don't like the way they've laid out this. People complain about that actually. There's Americans, they have their. I don't know if do they do month day. I think they do month day, or they do day month. I don't know. I don't have a problem with any of it, because again, it's like, which month's the 27th? It's like, grow up, all right, grow up. What I will agree with though is when the day is within the 12 days, and then the month is obviously within the 12 months, because they're in the 12 months. Sometimes it can get confusing, again, especially if it's 12-12. But again, if it's 12-12, then it's going to be the 12th day. You know what? No, I stand my ground. No, because it could be the 8 and the 12. I get that, all right? But for the most part, you're going to have more days which is not in the number of a month than you are. So people complain about, the Americans and the Europeans. It's like, grow up, okay? It's like, this is a good example, obviously, because obviously we know there's no 27 months. So clearly the days at the very end. Interestingly, I've never seen any system like, maybe this is some sort of different world. I don't know if you guys know in the comments. I don't know what sort of dating system this is on, because I've never seen the day be put at the very end, which is very interesting. So I don't know who they've got working for them. Maybe some sort of I don't know. I'm not gonna throw any words out there because this is actually I don't want to throw any jokes around, because people take me seriously. They might think I'm saying something and they might ban me, or they might departner us. But anyways, I'm happy. All right. What I will say though, I expected to spend 30 minutes on this. I've actually whizzed through this. Yeah, show the chart. So I'm gonna, I'm planning to spend maybe 12 minutes on the charts, because there's not that much to talk about, because I'm looking at the USD1 pair. So there's not too much to talk about. So I'm kind of trying to spend my time doing this. But again, like I said, I do want to know why this is happening. So trade $500 worth of USD1. Eligible pairs get 12 to 72 World of Finance, max 75,000 users. And then there's the top end, where you have to trade at least $1,000, and you can win up to 12,000 World of Finance. So how is it getting handed out? So this is the total points. I don't know if it's a 1-to-1. I don't know. Okay. This is the leaderboard. Shout out to these guys on Binance. Okay. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah. So I don't want this to be. They hand out all the money. Okay. I don't want this to be they hand out all the money in one go, because that's not going to be great for Wallet Finance token itself, because a lot of these people are going to be selling this, isn't they? Are we really going to be having 12 million tokens, even actually, $12 million or $30 million, give or take. Again, the tokens fluctuating. 12 million Wallet Finance tokens being held by people. If this is total price pool, is this actually what's being given out? Because what if nobody gets up to the 12,000? So again, I think it might not be giving out 12 million. All right, they say this is the total price pool, but a lot of people might not get up to $1,000 worth of. I don't know actually, to be fair, but how is this all going to be given out? You know what I mean? I reckon a lot of people are going to be falling within the 3 million. So probably at least 3 million are going to be given out for sure. Or maybe for sure. I mean, it depends. There's 10 people, 3,772 pages, which are eligible potential for the leaderboard. So obviously this is assuming that everyone here. Okay, so how many points do you need? Maybe I don't know if it's a 1-to-1 point. I think it's a point per dollar potentially. So a lot of these people aren't going to be within the field, but I reckon by the time this ends, at least probably everyone will be within the 3 million Wallet Finance tokens. Part of the price pool, so we'll probably have that handed out again. That's probably within again the next 2 weeks, so not great for the charts. We'll keep that in mind when we go to the charts, but other than that, I do want to obviously move on because I didn't actually find out my answer, unfortunately. But anyway, moving on, just want to mention this one as well. This is just like the current news of Wallet Finance. Scaling up, this was 2 days ago, February 10th. Scaling up, new USD1 pair, PAXG to USD1, arriving on Binance. Again, this is the place to be if you want to be within Wallet Finance and you want to be interacting with USD1 or Wallet Finance token. You're probably going to be doing it on Binance. PAXG gold-backed token quoted in USD1. So again, a nice little pair. Thinking about gold-backed token gold here, which was an interesting conversation. Obviously, not quite the same. Obviously, a gold-backed token versus a tokenized gold is within the same keyword area. Interesting, obviously, conversation from the Binance Blockchain Week, but nonetheless, they have a pairing of PAXG to USD1. Doing good things. This one's the main one. This is again all these words and all this preparation has been leading up into the interesting parts of this section of the stream, which is obviously the Wallet Finance quote articles part, which is World Swap here, and obviously World Forum as well, which is obviously very interesting here. So this, obviously there's not really much of an official tweet, but there is, I just found one of the many tweets mentioning this, which is the World Swap from World Finance. So going to this part, Zach Follman unveiled World Swap, stating that USD1 will be used as the main settlement asset. This is part of the plan to expand World Finance entire ecosystem centered on USD1. Here it is. I should probably read this part. This platform is a digital version of traditional Forex designed to make currency exchanges easy in DeFi based on the USD1 stablecoin. So this is obviously, they're solving quite a few key points here. Obviously, a very more modernized version of a Forex system, which they're doing anyway, in terms of their system with USD1, obviously. The plans are to solve the complexity and the high costs in the traditional Forex markets, making it fast, efficient, using the blockchain infrastructure. Very, very cool. So again, obviously, this is being manned by Wealthy Financial, and obviously their system is revolving around USD1 here. So this is, I think, of what I've seen with kind of their whole thing going on. Again, they've got their governance system, their stablecoin, Wealthy Finance token itself, some other things. This is like the most interesting one. Like this, like you could not care about anything else about Wealthy Financial. This is the cool part, okay? Because this is something you can actively utilize. This is a product. This isn't just a thing to hold. This is actually a product. So if you are a trader and you're obviously interested in Forex and want it to be using blockchain infrastructure to trade at Forex, obviously this is very, very good for you. But I think this is massive for Wealthy Financial. Obviously they have to use USD1 for this, so it would have been nice. Did I mention anything about the token itself? Because it'd be interesting if they had some sort of system where you could do stuff with Wealthy Financial token. I know it's an exchange, there's not really much to be doing there with their own token apart from their stablecoin, but it would have been good for the price of World Financial Token. But very, very good. Very, very good. The second, or the last part of, but the second of these two main things I wanted to look at was the World Liberty Forum. February the 18th, Mar-a-Lago, Palm Beach, Florida. Invitation only. I'm probably not getting invited, but, you know, I mean, the quality of the content, the quality of us, I think we should be infinitely invited. We know we should be given the gold card of Trump. We should be invited to this. I don't know what they're doing. Clearly, they're lacking. They might have forgotten to send the email for the invitation, but whatever, I'll let it slide. So again, obviously, time running, again, 18th of February. But the important part is to mention that this is going on and what this is kind of about. So a select group of 300 global leaders will convene at Mar-a-Lago for the World Liberty Forum to discuss the future of finance and technology. So they're getting a bunch of people together, you know, CEO-esque people, manning their... so these are speakers there as well. Manning their World Liberty Forum. There's no agenda currently right now. I'm not requesting an invite. Obviously, I'm not a CEO, am I? But cool. Very important. Potentially for the future World 2 Financial. Obviously, maybe in cahoots with some of these people to provide more utility going forward. Just a big old cesspool of people, you know, just to smush together. So brilliant for the future, potentially of finance and crypto. So very, very cool there. Want to point that out as well. Finally, though, moving on to... I have 8 minutes. I have about 9 minutes. I mean, will I spend 30 minutes on Bitcoin? Probably not, because I'm going to be talking about what we talked about last streams. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to read the chat, because I haven't done that the entire stream. And then I'm going to look at the chart, and then obviously we can go on to Bitcoin and whatnot. So, let's not hit my mic. I want to scratch my arm, and I want to do it around this way, but I keep on hitting my mic. I want to say hello to people who've joined and said hello. Hidden Agendas, obviously Mike is here well. Mags, Mary, Danny, KB, thank you all for joining the stream. Hopefully it's a good time again. We're still testing the time. Tariq is here. I've just scrolled down. Shout out to Tariq as well. When bear market, soon. Soon. Yes, I mentioned you, don't worry. I said Mike is here as well. Yes, you can wave. I said Mike's here. I said that first, actually. I said Mike first. Let's read some of these actual... when 20 cent. I don't know about 20 cent. All right, you'll see what I'm talking about in a minute when we go to it. I need some water because I've got this, like, I don't know what's going on. I'm progressively losing my voice as we go through. I need to just get one big cough. I should probably do this away from the mic. I just need to clear it because I'm losing it. At one point, I'm just going to be doing mimes on the screen about Bitcoin. There we go. 3rd of September. Is that September? Shows the chart. So, 3rd of September, I imagine is what he's talking about in terms of a... I can't scroll on my chat anymore. In terms of a bear market. I don't know what you're talking about, actually. You know what? Never. I'm not going to try and interpret it. What are you talking about? Yeah. You don't have to do the chart. I just yesterday. Why did we spend the time preparing all these... Whatever. No. Whatever. Because maybe people on Binance Square have missed this. You know, this is the thing. Maybe they've missed it again. This is just a... I could never spend 30... you know what? I could never spend 30 minutes talking about this. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's not enough to talk about. Maybe Bitcoin. If I'd spent ages away from Bitcoin and I hadn't if I hadn't spoken already about Bitcoin, you know, in terms of a normal stream, I can spend 30 minutes on Bitcoin. There's not enough here. You're talking about the 27th month. Oh. I can't spend 30 minutes. You know what? I'm glad I did this anyway, okay? Because I can't spend 30 minutes on this chart. It's not possible. Squarians. Got the circles and the squares. Hi, bro. What about Solana? Maybe today, actually, because I don't have a lot to talk about on Bitcoin. Or too much. Why do you ignore my messages? I haven't looked at the chat a single time. So maybe Mike's talking to you, maybe, from Chris Warehouse channel. But I haven't looked at the chat a single time since this stream, so... Yeah, let's see what's going on though. Hello to everyone on Square. Thank you for joining the stream, appreciate it. Yeah, Solana, he might go later. Yeah. I think I might be able to get around to it because there's not. We've already talking. I don't know what's going on in the English. We already spoke. There you go. We already spoke last stream about what I thought was going to happen, and we've just been doing that. Like, there's not really much has happened. We've just been doing it. So I'll just give a re-up on what I expect to happen, and that's pretty much it. So yeah. Oh, my hair's gonna be sticking out. Whatever. Okay, so the chart. I can move on to the chart now. Let's have a look at it. So we've got. I did start the stream after 3 struck, so we've got about 5 minutes. Enough time. Plenty of time. So there's only really kind of a few things I want to point out. Again, I had to get whimsical with the charts. There's not a lot to talk about, so I had to get, I had to bring the lines out. Apologize. Had to get whimsical because again, not too much because I have to. I've been explicitly instructed to use USD1 chart, which is fine. There's not that much data, or not as much data as there would be with other charts, but that's okay. So what I want to preface, also going into this chart, that what you see on the screen isn't all of the data for World 2 Finance, because again, there has been the World 2 Finance financial USDT, whatever pair, which has more data. Obviously, it's been training for a longer period of time. So this doesn't have all the data, but I'm gonna look at this one. Okay, so if there's things I miss based on price action from other charts, I can't see it, can I? But I can look at this. I still have enough to look at. There's plenty to look at. There's enough to look at. So we're gonna look at it. So going from the weekly down, we're gonna go zoom out and then go in. I'm gonna expand these whimsical lines. I've been using the whimsical lines lately. I'm on and off of them. It's like a dodgy relationship. Sometimes I enjoy using them. Sometimes it just gets a bit messy. But we can see this range here, kind of sitting in between some of these lines here, to and from. Not really focused on the weekly here. There's not really that much data. There's not really that much price action to talk about. I do just want to go down to the daily 4-hour time frame and really look at it. But pointing out the weekly shenanigans we had with those candles, those green candles here in this period before we had the print through down with this massive dump coming from about 19 cents all the way down to a low of 9.5-ish cents. But obviously this moved down quite a bit for loads of fans. Again, we've had a down move in the market the whole time. We've been going down for a long period of time, so we should have I'm not expecting this to be some magical, we're going to be pumping to 50 cents tomorrow or anything like that. So again, another preface there. Am I that positive when 20 cent, etc., etc.? Well, no, basically. So what I will say is we have some negative things. Number one being weekly printing past this major low. We have this big old low, this high. We kind of shimmied on upwards, doing our thing, trying to get higher. Didn't print a single time. We spent about 5 weeks, at least. Obviously, technically this was above, so maybe it was a print through to the next week. But 4 to 5 weeks above this high at nearly 17.5 cents. We didn't print once. We couldn't get a print. We were basically at the high end of our range, going up all the way up until the extension line, which we'll look at on the daily in a minute. Consistently trying to get above, not quite there. Again, we did have some gaps on the way upwards, which obviously helped in terms of holding support within this area. Obviously, using this candle one more time here. Really not very positive. Again, you can see the candle bodies as well. Not very good for momentum. It doesn't really look good for momentum, as obviously we can see we came from 19 cent all the way down to our 9.5 cent area. The momentum wasn't really there. We hit kind of a roadblock. We hit the top end of our range, about, within the range of about 18.2 cent, fluctuating here and there. Hit the high end of our area and just consistently stayed there. Obviously, if we draw out okay, there's so many lines I can't click off this area. There we go. Never mind. There we go. I'll just draw a red box around it so we can see it. There we go. So this is the equilibrium there. So we can see, obviously to and from, using its supports, obviously trying to stay above it, kind of printing above the line, trying to print below it, obviously pumping upwards one more time. We did have a rejection block here, as you can see, massive wick downwards, obviously coming into rejection block area, tiny little body there. So this is pretty good. Actually, I could probably draw this out, to be fair. I don't want to hold this as too much though, because this is not what I'm talking about for this, but just looking at the price action on the weekly basis for this period. Nonetheless, though, continuing upwards, obviously trying to hold fine support. We did use it once here within this gap. Whatever, it's just week by week. Trying to hold. Didn't print a single time, like I said, above that 17.5 cent area. So, nonetheless, dumping from there to the low end of our range. So I'm going to delete this. I don't really want these on the screen because I'm not talking about them. Going to the daily now, we can look at it in a bit more detail. So that's what this is. That is the green candles up and the massive print downwards. This is what this area is, just to point it out. So again, on the daily here, we can see in more detail the range or the trend we had going up and downwards. Obviously, we can see where that rejection block actually lay pretty much in the daily, so we can see kind of coming towards that midpoint twice here, obviously finally printing through it after we've confirmed that we are reversing. Because again, we can see multiple times, this is the extension line up here at, you can see the EXT there, about 19 cents. So we can see in a bit more detail now on the daily that we did come to this one time here on the 14th of January. Now that obviously the kind of system with this, you can see how well we printed within the high range here. We just didn't even get to midpoint. We just continuously stayed at this line at about 18 cents before, and we did attempt to get up, nowhere near it though. So kind of what happened within this range, what happened to the extension lines really quickly before, I don't want to yap about it too much. These are kind of the turning points. These are the what determines if we're continuing in a strong move upwards or not. In theory, again, not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. This is all theoretical. Yada yada yada. So the idea is if you can't get above these areas and consistently print above it and go up into the next range, you're going to reverse. We've seen this so consistently on Bitcoin on both ends, seen this consistently on every other chart. Obviously, again, with World Finance, we can see it consistently here. We got up to the extension here. We got up to the high end. Didn't quite get above that that high here of this range. And then we eventually reversed to come down to the low end. So where are we now? Well, we're at the extension line. But, importantly, we haven't printed. Now, again, this is starting to sound very similar to what we've seen with Bitcoin. Again, this is kind of in rhyming with Bitcoin. We've seen with some charts we've looked at with Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, that we have these sorts of ranges and we're doing very similar stuff where we are at these turning points. We have come to either equilibriums or we've come to, because again, equilibrium is kind of another period where if you reverse this area, you're going to be probably going to that low end. It's kind of just like a likelihood. Or so in these scenarios, it's like you have periods where we get up to these equilibriums and don't. Obviously, I know this is the previous candle of this is when the pair opened, but for me, when I look at these new charts where they have one single candle which is doing crazy stuff and then the rest of the chart, I just ignore that candle. It's like, what am I really gonna be looking at this candle? No. But looking at this, we can see obviously getting back up from this body into equilibrium and then obviously failing and then getting towards that low end over here. One more time, obviously finally putting above it and then staying above this range here, doing pretty well, whether it be this line at the top or this line, the midpoint, finally putting through it here, finding resistance, finally finding support and then getting up, and then again, same concepts, using it as support about 3-ish times here, with all this kind of midline here, about 15 to 3 cents. So it's kind of a balance on all these scales, whether it be the high end, the midpoint, or the low end. It's all just a balance between, are we going to be using this area and reversing or continuing onwards. So that's kind of the methodology of kind of trying to understand, is there going to be a reversal? Is there not going to be a reversal? Why would there be a reversal? Why wouldn't there? So that's kind of the concept there with these highs and lows and equilibriums. On the way down, though, we can see we obviously gapped pretty heavily. We did form one here about 14, the midpoint anyway, about 14.1 cent. We can see we came back up into that with this move quite nicely here. Kind of not really using that rejection block too much or anything of the sorts. Kind of just came down to this line at 11.7 here and then came back up to resistance. Basically within, again, we've just printed through the entirety of equilibrium, coming back up into at least above 13.9 cent here where the equilibrium hits, using it as resistance, continuing back downwards, gapping again. So where we are right now, I'm actually glad we're here because this is actually something exciting to talk about. This is, again, a very big turning point. This is like the turning point of the token right now, in my opinion. Now, I'm not going to try use Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana because I already know what I think is going to happen with those coins, and we talked about it last stream. I'm not using those as a kind of a compass to talk about World Finance because, again, they're their own tokens, their own coins. But the consistency that World Finance has done and the market's done across the whole, they've all kind of moved in unanimity. Unanimity. That's not the word. That's not how you say it. But you know what word I'm trying to say. They've all moved in conjunction. So to say the same things about pretty much every coin is very easy. So I will be saying the same thing with World Loot Financial, where we are at this extension line. If we can stay above and print above about 10.1 cents, then we will probably be going back upwards within the range. I'm not saying we will go to 14.5 cents, but within the range of this equilibrium, about 14 cents, and obviously the low. Where do we have within this, which is valid? Well, we have obviously the gap area, which is this area, which this candle resides within. So I'm just going to draw this big old obvious area there as number one, basically. So we do have this area. So if we can stay above this, what are we going to do? Well, we are clearly in a very strong downtrend. Again, this is, the most recent high. Again, I know we are kind of doing this, to be fair. So technically, the most recent high here, so if we print past this, technically would be a reversal. And if we really look at it, to be fair, we have that high to low, come upwards, a high, a low, and then we kind of have this move here where we're not printing any lower, and we're trying to get up to this high. So technically, this could be a reversal, but in terms of the most extreme high from this, it's going to be about 14.2 cents. So in terms of, we're still in this downtrend, we're still pretty negative. And again, on the weekly, bearing in mind, we've just printed past that major low, which again, it's not a positive thing, but if you think about it, obviously we've just printed. Where's the most likelihood chance we're going to see a move back upwards? Is it going to be us continuing a move downwards? Is it going to be us at 14.7 cents? Or are we going to see the most likelihood chance of us going back upwards after we've just printed past the major low? I think, in my personal opinion, after we've just printed past the major low. So we kind of got that weekly where, like, yes, long term we're still negative, but we're still kind of, we're still kind of positive. Now, what I did want to point out as well, because I still had this gap drawn, remember, because we can use these areas multiple times, 14.2 cent. What do we have on the weekly, which I'm obviously going to draw now? We obviously have this massive order block area, which again we have used once, kind of here, kind of coming into it. We can look at it on the daily here. We can see we formed it on that Monday, and then we came back up and printed at that low end at 13.5 cents. So we came back down again. Obviously did our thing. Mainly though, on the weekly, again, stronger resistance, stronger idea to look at it. We have the gap at about 15 cents, 15.1 cent to 14.2. So we have this range here, which is very important as resistance, alongside having this order block here. Again, the midpoint is about 15.2, which is the high end of this gap. So 15 cent could be interesting as well as a longer term high, like a lower high, but a high. What this means though for the weekly is we don't have any high to get past. If we were to reverse to be positive and to go back into an uptrend for the weekly, we would have to print past 19 cents. I don't think that's happening. So regardless of what I think's going on the daily, to take control, to take overarching sense, I don't care what's really happening on daily. I think the weekly, it's going to be very hard for it to really get back to be positive. Unless we did a high at 12, came back down to about 10, didn't do a new low, and came up again, that would technically be a reversal. Obviously, the newest high would be about 12 cents, whatever. But as it stands, if we continue to do what we're doing on the weekly, where we have these big candles and we go back upwards again, I don't think we're going to get anywhere near 19 cents. I don't think we're doing anything like that. I think we're going to be staying within equilibrium, probably come to the midpoint of equilibrium, which is 14.5 cents within the order block, within this gap. We have a lot of resistance at this 14.5 cent area, and then from there, I think we're going to continue lower. But importantly, what would be good for reversal is, because even though, because in these periods, it's like we can have these reversals be positive and still hit a lower high and be negative again. Do you know what I mean? So it's not a scenario where we have to stay within the highs and lows or anything of that sort. We can go from the high and come to the low. We can hit off the extension and go back upwards and not have to go back to the high. We can hit into resistance, form a lower high, and go down again. It's just this kind of orchestrate, or in my opinion, this kind of orchestrates whether we're going to be staying in a downtrend, or if we don't print past this low, we're going to be staying within this range and trying to get back up again. Which, again, first target, 12.5 cent. We'll probably see a bit of resistance here as we kind of reverse and continue back upwards. Probably getting back up towards this 14.5 cent area within this equilibrium order block gap spiel area. Once we get into that area, I think that's weekly resistance, that's long-term resistance. Weekly is very negative. I think we'll continue lower. Again, remember, what do we have in the next 2 weeks? We're going to have a lot of people having World Liberty Finance. What does that mean? Well, that means there's a high propensity for people to sell. Not again, it's 12 million World Liberty Financial tokens. There's 20 something. I don't know if this is a new introduction. I don't know if this, because they've got a lot not in total circulating supply. And again, this is what I mentioned earlier on. They've got about a quarter in supply in circulation. They've got 3/4 not in circulation. I don't know if this 12 million is coming from non-circulation. That would be even worse if it was, because we now have 12 million in theory, probably likely about 3 to 5. It depends on how many people get up to that $1,000 mark. But let's just say 5 million, just to be safe, or just to be, tempered with it. If we have 5 million World Free Financial Tokens getting introduced into the supply, or the circulating supply, it's what? That's like about a fifth of what's currently there. What's the propensity for these people to sell? I mean, it's very low. They probably won't sell. There's probably a lot of people who are holding, but you can't deny there will be a slight influx of people who will be selling World Free Financial Tokens. So what's the likelihood that we have a rise from now up until that 2-week mark, where we continue upwards from 12.5 cents, 14.5 cents, where we hit into this resistance area, and then potentially the likelihood of the overlap between potential resistance area and people, a larger influx of World Free Financial Tokens being introduced into the markets, which obviously not only does that directly affect the price, but if people sell, that's going to obviously affect the price as well. So I think we're going to see a bit of negativity on that 2-week mark. I think we're going to see negativity if we get to 14.5 cents on the weekly. We have seen negativity. We have printed past a weekly low. We are probably going to see a lower high on the weekly and continue lower. So like I said, with the daily, we can start to trend upwards on the daily to get up to our weekly lower high. So even though on the daily we might be in an uptrend, oh, here we go, uptrend time, let's go to 19 cents. The weekly, we have to be in a week, because again, we have the low, we have this high, we have these higher lows, we reverse here, we start going upwards. This is now an uptrend, here we go, 20 cent. The weekly we have to go up at some point for the weekly get up to its lower high to go lower. So, do you know what I mean? Even though whatever we do on the daily, I do think if we get to 13 cent, 14.5, I'm more leaning towards 14.5 as a higher end. Again, there's a lot more in this area. There probably will be a bit of resistance here. A lot more at 14.5. I think we will go lower. I've yapped a lot. Let's just go to Bitcoin again. There's not that much to talk about on Bitcoin and all that sort of stuff. But like I said, as long as we print above, worst case scenario, really bad scenario, we dump down, print below 10 cent at 9.6 cents, consistently stay here, find resistance importantly at 10 cents. We're going down to 7.5 cents. Do you know what I mean? We're going down towards some of these areas. We're going down to no man's land. Because again, like I said, I had to get whimsical with this chart because there's no price action. I have to just look at this. This is what I do. This is what I have to do. Let's look at the chat quickly. And then we can go to Bitcoin and have a little quick update on Bitcoin and whatnot. And then we can, Can I participate by holding one USD1 in spot? So basically, I think I might have to have it open. Oh, I don't. Okay. So what I believe it is I don't know if it's directly just spot or you have to trade. You know what? Let's just bring it back up on the history. Okay, it's going to be one of these. It's like this stuff. Let's just open all this. Here we go. So what I think it is, if we go down, there was the parent. Here it is. So the trade mission. So trade to share up to that amount, and then I imagine. So it's trade at least this amount of money. So I don't know if it's just buying and holding and whatnot, but what I can understand is trading with this pair to bring that obviously volume in and whatnot. So again, all the pairs which have USD1 kind of involved. So you have to trade a cumulative amount of at least $500 equivalent in any of the aforementioned eligible USD1 pairs during obviously this period. And obviously you then get that trade, or you get that amount of 12 to 72. So then obviously you have this period, and then you have the same kind of system here where you then have to trade of kind of $100 or $1,000. During every cumulative trade of $1,000 equivalent. Interesting. So it's multitude of trades at $1,000 at least. So I don't know if you can just buy USD1 and hold it. I don't really think you can do that. So I think you have to trade with these pairs based on USD1. CZA main 15 minutes. Okay. Anyways, going back to this. Bitcoin. I'll probably just look at Bitcoin. I know I said I was going to try to look at Solana. I don't know if I will. Let's get this back to normality here. There we go, something along that lines, I guess. So what did we talk about last stream? It's gone pretty well. So we talked on both ends of the stick. We talked about the weekly, what I had in theory on the higher time frame, what we were doing, and then we talked about 1 hour, 4 hour time frame. So what we talked about, I think I had it one range lower to be fair as well, because it isn't really the same range. What we talked about on last stream on the lower time frame was, I have it shifted. That's why it's weird. There we go. Perfect. So what I talked about last time was what we had here. So we kind of had... okay, this is on the 1 hour here. Yeah. So we had our different supports and resistance. So we had breaker block area here and here. So we have a breaker block here. Or it's kind of all blocks of breaker block. It's both ends of the stick here. And then we had this proper breaker block here. So what we had is support and resistance, basically. And we're within this equilibrium. So you can see how we're kind of dancing in between equilibrium. We're kind of trying to print upwards. You kind of use it support. Use support. I mean, we broke up and just used it support consistently. Yeah, we kept using it support. But obviously hitting into resistance, finally reversing it. And then you can see we reversed it, came back, resistance, support, resistance at equilibrium. But importantly, we're printing at the high end, the outer end of it now, trying to get upwards. So what I said, let's just actually recap. What I said last, nice more actually. What I said last stream was, on the 1 hour time frame was, we have this resistance. It would have been Monday. It would have been, it probably would have been here actually. What I said was we had this previous resistance. We've had it drawn out now. We've been using it for a while. I think eventually we're going to break down to around about 65, 680 where the midpoint is, whatever. I think I was also talking about 65.1 because of the midpoint of this rejection block, which we've had for not a while, but we've had on the hard time frame. There we go. I'm trying to zoom around. There we go. So we actually have come down towards. Oh my god. We've actually come down around about towards that midpoint. We've come into support here. You can see we kind of held towards this area here where this breaker block is, and we've started to kind of reverse and start to go back upwards. Haven't printed past major high here or anything. We're still kind of using this area as resistance. We've tried to be consistently using outer. This is kind of the main area of equilibrium. This is kind of like the main equilibrium range, same as we have with the high end. This is like the high. Okay, so these kind of like the ranges, right? So we have the outer area, and then we have main equilibrium. So we have main equilibrium where we have these kind of fights, where this kind of determines whether we're still holding a support or not. But obviously, once you print past that, that's the important part. You can still kind of be at the bottom end and come upwards again. But once you've printed past this area, obviously on the high end anyways, this is now past equilibrium. You can now try and use its support and get. So you can still use this area as resistance and then come down and use its support and reverse. So the same thing here. We have these fights in between. So same thing here. We came as low as this area, kind of kept coming down to the bottom of the equilibrium, and still came upwards one more time. So it really is the determinant of a reversal is fully printing past this range of equilibrium and coming towards this low end. Or in this case would be 67.108. So same thing here as what I'm talking about. We are still within the equilibrium range. We're kind of jumping in, well, especially with this bounce. We came out from our support and kind of classified our range here with this move from 68.3 to 66.73. We have now kind of declared this range which we've been in, which is the actual start of the equilibrium and then this kind of outer range. So we haven't reversed the equilibrium, so if we don't reverse it, we probably will come down one more time. We haven't printed past any high yet or anything of significance. We've kind of wicked past this high and start to reverse. We could probably try and print past these lows. This probably won't be a great thing for the uptrend or anything. Or for an uptrend. So I think for me, it's like we haven't done anything too positive, so I'm not holding on just yet. Again, my criteria was to come towards this 65.6 area. Obviously, we hit to about 65.780, and then go up again. I think what would what is this? Oh, yeah, the green area is that area. Okay. What would kind of be interesting to see would be actually hitting that midpoint at 65.1 for this weekly. For this weekly rejection block here, which we have. Again, we came down towards this area at the low, where the kind of rejection block area is. We came off this previous support area on the monthly, and we've kind of come up from there and stayed printing above equilibrium on this range. Again, obviously, we're still in this range. To be fair, though, with this, you can see we've kind of printed at the outer end of this equilibrium. If you delete this quickly. we can see we've come down and we've printed at the outer end of this equilibrium. And you can see we're having difficulty at 68.3, which is what we saw on the 1 hour, just a different representation. But we can see on the daily how we used this equilibrium. This is the top end, and kind of this is the bottom end. This is kind of the split, right? So we kind of use this area really nicely, printed through it to hit the support area, and now we're kind of fighting within 68.3 and 68 or 67.1. So if we don't reverse this equilibrium, we're probably going to see down again towards about 65.2. In terms of what we want to probably see, I just moved that line. Whoops. I want to see us kind of reverse. Even on the 4 hour, again, we only just looked at the 1 hour there. Even on the 4 hour, we would have to pretty much print past something around 71. You know, if we really look at what we've been doing in terms of actual trend, right? We've clearly had this kind of move. We technically had a little move here, to be fair. So I could probably draw that if we're really being hypercritical of the move. This is what we've done, right? So technically, we would have to print at least past $70,000 if we were to technically be in an uptrend. If we really look at the start of this downtrend, right? We only really have this high, this down move, this move upwards, right? So we need to print past 70,000, aka we need to get past all this equilibrium. We need to actually get past and basically print at 70,680. Hard task. We have quite a bit of resistance. You know what I mean? So what's the likely chance that we go down one more time and find support within 65k at midpoint of rejection block on the weekly, at the closest to the midpoint to the lower end of this breaker block we have on the 1 hour at 65.7, 65.3. We have more support down here. So we could maybe go down one more time. Again, concerning ourselves with specifics or not, whatever, the next move on for me is going to be coming up towards 78.8. Now, I remember what we talked about on last stream, which was a kind of an interesting kind of idea where we kind of talked about coming towards 59k or 57k for this extension line. Obviously, talked about the equilibrium at 51k. So the theory was, I think I remember seeing numbers 83k and 81k. I think that being we had like a weekly gap, being this gap here, where we also have this range here from the low to the high, about 80,630. So this is within 81.5, 83k. Going back down there though. So my kind of theory is, with all this, is we have the extension line at 81k. We have these gaps on the 4 hour. We have it on the daily here, 81k as well. Another thing I was also talking about was, if we are quite expansive and hit up into, we can see, you know, we use this resistance quite nicely at 78.7 for this high here. We can probably come upwards, you know, towards around about 80,009, filling this gap here. We could have a scenario where we could try to get up towards, not that one, about 83k, which is about, you know, here. You can't really see it too much on the daily. But at least towards about 80,900, printing probably below this, because we can do both things. We can come to resistance on the high end, come above this high, and still print at this extension at 80,008 and come back down. Same thing we've done in previous scenarios. Not quite here, because this is a smaller range. We did it back here. You can't see it here. I'm on a different range. But the scenario where we had the high basically like here or something like that, and then the extension line was here. This isn't the exact numbers, but we can still expand past the high, get all the way up to at least the extension line, and not print past it, and then reverse. So same concept here. We can you know, start to have an uptrend on the daily 4 hour, whatever, or the 4 hour anyway, 1 hour, get up all the way towards 81k in this range on the daily, and still print at 81k for where the extension line is, and go back down again. And then all we have to concern ourselves with is this range. If we've done a lower high, you know, we have this massive high to a low. We've done a lower high. We're going to want to at least target that. We'll probably go on to target that low if we continue the downtrend, which is going to be getting past 60k. You know, but all I'm going to concern myself with right now, you know, ignoring where the specifics are after we get to that high, I still am, you know, I still have my, you know, opinions quite solid on the 81k area. You know, we have the 83k. I think minimum 81k. If we were to get to these, obviously target these prices. This this candle is fully within the right area. In terms of what we have on the daily, we don't really have much in the way of what we have. We probably might see a bit of resistance. Actually, we might see a bit of resistance with the order block area. We might see, you know, somewhat of resistance at 77k, for example. But other than that, I do think we'll probably get towards 81k. This is going to be valid within this range from at least 80,700. This is within the weekly gap. This is within the daily gap. This is within what is right within within highs and the extension line. This is what's right within where these should lie, because we have rejection block, order block, fair value gap, which is where this candle resides within at least here. So you can see this will be valid. So this is where the weekly is. This is where the daily is. I do think 81k is probably be a strong resistance area. So that's kind of it for me. 12 million or 12 million World of Finance tokens airdrop is yeah. Oh, did I say 12 billion? Yeah, 12 million. It's what was it? Is it 25 billion in circulation and 100 billion total? Right. Okay. I think I must have misread the. I think I misinterpreted 12 million as 12 billion. So that's not too bad then. There'll still be a bit south though, probably. Probably not nowhere near as bad as it is. Either way, though, it doesn't change my chart. To be fair, though, it doesn't change my chart. I still am negative. Weekly is very negative on World of Financial. I'm still negative on daily time frame. I'm feeling negative on all time frames of World of Financial. I'm negative everywhere, though. Again, relative to what we have, again, World of Financial, the weekly trek back up to 15 cent, 14.5 cent. I think it's like I said at the time when we look at the charts. I think we have a very similar current scenario across the board, where we're at our very lows right now. We've probably pretty passed stuff on the weekly time frame. We're really negative, but to continue this negativity and continue what we're doing, we probably want a recovery back up towards 81k, or in this case 81k. In World of Financial's case, 14.5 cents. Ethereum's case, 20 something k. I'm not gonna go into it. We are ending the stream. You know what I mean? I know I've got about 4 minutes left. It's 3:59. Okay, I'm gonna let you go. I'm not like a teacher. The bell doesn't. Oh no, the words have stopped coming out. Stop that. I've stopped. I have cut. He's clearly not got the sound on. Clearly he's muted the stream. He's only looking at the stream and not listening, because I've just said, even though I have 4 minutes left, I am gonna end the stream. I've just finished Bitcoin pretty much. Obviously, there wasn't, again, like I said, there wasn't a lot to talk about. I've somehow managed to spend 15 minutes on Bitcoin. We've got down to our support. We could go down one more time towards the midpoint of this rejection block and more into the order block at 65.1. Other than that, I still am within 81k. I still think, okay, so you've heard me say then, haven't you, that I think I'm going to end it at 4. Haven't you? Clearly, because I just said that. So don't worry, I am going to end it. I'm not going to spend an extra 3 minutes talking, because I'm going to end it at 4 p.m. Just like I am doing right now. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Okay? Those are my opinions on World of Financial. Do I think the token price is relative to the quality of the product? No. I think World of Financial is a great product. I think it's the best product. I think it's the amazing product. I think it's the best product. Binance is the best product. I think Binance is the best product. I think Binance is the amazing product. Buy USD1. I think everything's the best product. Bitcoin go up eventually. World of Financial go up eventually. Forex eventually for World of Financial. Thank you, everybody. I will see you. I'm gonna go to the AMA. I'm gonna go to the AMA. I'm stopping right now. Don't you worry. Everyone's probably left and square. Everyone's gonna leave. Thank you, KB. Thank you, everybody. I will be back Saturday, where we will be probably looking at the same chart on Bitcoin again, because I'm waiting. Thank you. I'm going to go look at this AMA. I've been bombarded by it. Thank you again. See you next time. Goodbye.